And now we're gonna get into the final video, which is gonna be the mastering chain. All right, so let's get to going right now. Usually when I master, I'm always just trying to, loop a certain part or whatever where the most energy is at, most transients is at. And also as I'm, putting together the mastering chain, jumping between different parts and seeing how the bus works all together. So I'm gonna bypass everything. Most of the mastering chain is volume, so I want to make sure that I have good cookie dough before I actually put the cookies inside of the oven, all right, which is the chain. So I make sure that my actual mix sounds good, then I get to going on mastering. First plugin I use is Fairchild.
Feeling, just let the real spin. I hope you meant it when you say you don't want to speak, cause there's nothing that's breaking me more than watching you bleed. And you don't mind the distance, Mrs. Independent. You can tell I'm guilty by the way I'm still missing. Just wouldn't.
So for me, I like to get my mix as bright as I can. And I know that the Fairchild, because it has the tube in it, it makes it bright without actually using any EQ. So that's why I always enjoyed using the Fairchild, because I can get more brightness. Now the con with the Fairchild, and why sometimes lately I haven't been using it, is that the actual tube and the transformer itself will start to change the waveform of the kick, because it's a very mute compressor. So sometimes it rounds the transient, and sometimes with rap music or even like just a certain type of hip-hoppy R&B song like this, you want it to knock, okay? So that's why I use the Fairchild. Then I use the EQP18. You could use the waves or the UAD, but here I actually cracked a little bit of the 12K just to give the song a little bit more air, specifically a little bit more height. So when you make your mix feel like a little bit taller, kind of like an apartment complex with an extra floor in it, that's where I would go to it. I don't go to it necessarily for just the brightness, but just for the height, to give a sense of elevation. And this song reminds me of being on a balcony at nighttime, so that's why I put in a little bit of crack of EQ.
If it's just paranoia at the club trying to avoid you, but you see me over shoulders, cause the way I like to talk, I hold them wages clear, that way I get out of here. There's too many circumstances for me to not put blame on my bones. I get nauseous when your name's on my phone. I get toxic when you leave me alone. I get hard-headed from all of these past mistakes. I get too.
All right, cool. So then after that, we use the God particle, and I specifically use this for the saturation. I turned off my animation thing, but I use it for saturation, and I also use it for the limiter as well. I really like how the limiter sounds like. I don't know, but it just always helps the song get louder. It sounds like it has an Oxford inflator in it.
If it's just paranoia at the club trying to avoid you, but you see me over shoulders, cause the way I like to talk, I hold them wages clear, that way I get out of here. There's too many circumstances for me to not put blame on my bones. I get nauseous when your name's on my phone. I get toxic when you leave me alone.
I have hardly ever in my life ever used the multiband compressor. I think I mixed one song before with the multiband compressor and it sounded good, but that was like 1 out of 20 though. I hardly ever use the multiband compressor. And if I ever do use it, I throw it on like the beat bus, and I'll throw it on like the actual beat bus, and then I'll let it tap especially the low end. It sounds super good. But the reason why I don't use the multiband is because the vocal. I want my vocal to be up front. I always notice that it kind of like compresses my vocal, and I don't like the way the vocal sounds anymore. I use the fresh air, and this is gonna give brightness.
If it's just paranoia at the club trying to avoid you, but you're leaving, even when knowing that the only reason's me. I hate that you're running, but I'm praying you can fall from my head. Don't get hooked on the feeling, just let the real spin. I hope you meant it when you say you don't want to speak, cause it's.
So the Ozone 11, here's what we got right here. We're using the exciter to bring out more of the mid-range. And I like to parallel blend it most of the time. I don't usually ever go past maybe 4. This is kind of like the drive, and this is the parallel mix. And I use a stabilizer. I always use it on shape because to me it's a different change of flow from Soothe. So it's like pushing things up and stuff like that. Then we have the imager widening things, and I have a vintage limiter here just because this song gave a vintage vibe with the bass.
You're leaving, even when knowing that the only reason's me. I hate that you're running, but I'm praying you can fall from my head. Don't get hooked on the feeling, just let the real spin. I hope you meant it when you say you don't want to speak, cause there's nothing that's breaking me more than watching you bleed. Mrs. Independent. You can tell I'm guilty by the way I'm still missing. Just wouldn't believe this. Me showing these secrets. I'm lying, I'm lying, I'm lying. If it isn't you, can't tell if it's me or if it's just paranoia. At the club trying to avoid you. But you see me over shoulders, cause the way I like to talk, I hold them wages clear. That way I get out of here. There's too many circumstances.
So most importantly, just more excitement to the drums. It's just bringing out all the good parts, taking out all the bad parts, especially with the stabilizer. And then that brings us to the BX3. I use this as a stereo widener. So I'm using 2 stereo wideners, the Ozone, just in a very small amount in here, 110, nothing crazy. I find 2 places that I kind of don't like and I notch them out a little bit. And I think here I was using, weirdly enough, I was actually using a little bit of the top end filter. That's super fucking weird. That's super weird that I used it, but yeah, I'm gonna turn it off. I usually would never use something like that. But yeah, so look, I find 2 nasty resonances, then I boost the sides, getting more width.
You're leaving, even when knowing that the only reason's me. I hate that you're running, but I'm praying you get fucked from my real. Don't get hooked on the feeling, just let the real spin. I hope you meant it when you say you don't wanna speak, cause there's nothing that's breaking me more than watching you bleed. And you don't mind the distance, Mrs. Independent. You can tell I'm guilty by the way I'm still missing. Just wouldn't believe this, me showing these secrets. I'm lying, I'm lying, I'm lying. If it isn't you, can't tell if it's me or if it's just paranoia. At the club trying to avoid you. But you see me over shoulders, cause the way I like to talk, I hold them wages clear.
All right, so that's a great plugin right there. Then I use the Soothe tool just to take out any bad frequencies. It's pretty much the same thing as the Ozone stabilizer. If you don't have Soothe, you could just use another Ozone stabilizer on top of it.
You're leaving, even when knowing that the only reason's me. I hate that you're running, but I'm praying you get fucked from my real. Don't get hooked on the feeling, just let the real spin. I hope you meant it when you say you don't wanna speak, cause there's nothing that's breaking me more than watching you bleed. And you don't mind the distance, Mrs. Independent. You can tell I'm guilty by the way I'm still missing. Just wouldn't believe this, me showing these secrets. I'm lying, I'm lying, I'm lying. If it isn't you, can't tell if it's me or if it's just paranoia. At the club trying to avoid you. But you see me over shoulders, cause the way I like to talk, I hold them wages clear. That way I get out of here. There's too many circumstances for me to.
So the Soothe is really starting to clean things up a lot. And the last thing that we got right here is gonna be the Pro L. And I only use the Pro L just to make sure I'm not going over 0. I don't usually use it to boost gain, but what I do like to do with it is I have to click all through all these modes and find something that I like.
You're leaving, even when knowing that the only reason out of here. There's too many circumstances for me to not put blame on my bones. I get nauseous when your name's on my phone. I get toxic when you leave me alone. I get hard-headed from all of these past mistakes. I get too gunning and blaming on our feet. You might not be home, still starting to sound like us out of here. There's too many circumstances for me to not put blame on my bones. I get nauseous when your name's on my phone. I get toxic when you leave me alone. I get hard-headed from all of these past mistakes. I get too gunning and blaming on our feet. You might not.
So this is a very insane mix that I did right here. My limiting is actually shared across 4 limiters. And I mean, every limiter that I use is usually always for color. I'm considering the color, I don't ever just use a limiter just for volume only. Like I use it because I know the color of all the limiters. And you see like I'm doing like a dB.5 here. Then on the Ozones, I'm doing like a point here, a little point there. Pretty much it's like 4 people all trying to lift a heavy object together. It's easier for 4 people to do it than one person to try to lift the burden all by itself, which would be only one limiter. So that's pretty much how I got to this sound that I have right here with those 4 limiters. And all those 4 limiters are all slightly distorting. You feel me? They're all slightly distorting. I understand the way that the vintage limiter distorts, the God particle, they all do, like they all bring a little bit of distortion in different ways. So that's pretty much the end of the course. I want to say thanks a lot for grabbing the course. If you guys did learn anything, give me an email, give me some feedback on how I can improve these. And I appreciate you guys a lot now. Peace.